Hello, my name is Susanne Wrage and I lead the Center of Excellence at WNS-Denali. My procurement career started in market intelligence, and more than 15 years later, I'm still very passionate about the topic. I know that not everybody is. It's oftentimes a little bit of a love or hated relationship. And because not everybody likes market intelligence, and some people even say, oh, it's all Google searches anyway, and I get frustrated when I don't find my search results in the first 5 slides, my first pro tip is really that you should think about market intelligence as a process and not just as a search. And if you are in procurement, in sourcing in particular, or stay in sourcing, then chances are that you're a big fan of process, right? Because you need to follow it all the time. And just in the same fashion that you have a strategic sourcing process, there is such a thing as a market intelligence or research process. It typically starts with, what problem do I want to solve for? What questions do I want to look for or want to find answers for? What hypothesis am I trying to prove? And then you go through a process of data gathering, of analyzing, trying to create insights, trying to visualize, and really make it actionable. And so if you think about market intelligence in that process, that can really be very helpful, because then it's not just a random and pretty frustrating type of Google search. Then it really gives your research focus, which is the next item I want to talk about, because staying focused is really important. When you do market intelligence, it is very easy to get distracted. And if you're like me, then you can already get distracted by reading Wikipedia or an encyclopedia, because there are so many interesting facts out there. But not every single interesting fact will really help you find the answers to the questions that you had. So staying focused is important, and this hypothesis that I talked about earlier, or this try to start with a real question in your mind, what are you trying to find answers for, will help you find that focus. Another really good way to find that focus so that you don't lose time and so that you're not all over the place is to start with a known and trusted source. If you have access to a subscription such as Procurement IQ or maybe Dun & Bradstreet Hoovers, you're already in good shape to find information quickly. Because that's one of the things where in market intelligence, you oftentimes have trade-offs. Either you pay the money for a subscription or you try to do it manually. You can go to websites, for example, government agencies, Bureau of Labor Statistics, Census Bureau. There's a ton of information out there, but when you get to the raw data, it might be much more time consuming to then get to the same type of insight. So having access to a subscription service, having access to one meaningful analyst report can really help you get that focus and really drive your research. Then the next item I really want to point out is, while we want to stay focused, it's also important to stay flexible, because research is never a straight line from, let me start here with my question, and then I just go through and find my answer immediately. Life would be really nice if that was the case and if all the information that we found was perfect, but unfortunately, that's not real life. And so the flexibility that you need is something that will serve you well, because we find some information and hopefully an information cluster that is insightful, and that will then drive where we go next. That phenomenon is called berry picking. Imagine yourself in a wood where you want to pick blueberries or blackberries. And so you go to one bush, you find one good spot, and from there, you will see other patches that then look promising. And that's exactly how research works, in the sense that you will not see all the information at once. It will not be on one page of your Google search results, but one piece of information leads to the next. So one finding could even lead you to the next cluster of search terms, because not all companies call your category or your subcategory the same thing. And so you will need to move from one type of information to the next one. So just have an open mind, and it might end up being something different from what you initially thought. After you found the information, it's now time to all pull it together and to make it actionable, because a bunch of data is not really actionable. You want to make sure that your market intelligence drives your decision-making and leads you to better negotiations, better strategies, whatever your situation is. And so the question, so what, that you see on the screen here is really one that you should ask yourself frequently. What does that mean for my situation? How does that now impact my negotiation, my contract? What contract term do I want to negotiate now? How could that potentially impact my category? And the more frequently you ask that question, the better you will be able to find the connectors, and the more relevant the information will become for your procurement activity, because you don't want to stop at just doing the market intelligence, right? You do this for the purpose of doing something else with it. And so, especially in this time of pandemic, in my mind, there are two really important aspects why we should even do market intelligence. The short-term focus is just survival. You need to make sure you get the supply that you had in mind. You need to make sure that you get the right contracts into place. You need to make sure that you survive the next months. But also see this situation as a good opportunity to maybe find some game changers as you research your categories. So don't lose sight of the long-term opportunity or benefit as you go through maybe the trigger of your research, the short-term survival of your organization, and maybe finding some cost savings. So I hope that you found these tips impactful and useful for your own research. If you have questions, or if you would like to make this into more of a conversation, I would be very happy to answer your questions, leave some comments, or connect to me on LinkedIn. Thank you for watching.